Hello and welcome back to the Fairbanks Year-Round Podcast. I am your host, Blake Schreckheis with the Summit Realty Group. And today, again, is my hopefully last solo episode. I've had quite a few of these back-to-back with my lack of getting new guests on here, which, by the way, you guys can always recommend guests. I do have quite a lengthy list that I work through. It was just me not calling them and getting them scheduled is really the issue with the summer busyness, as I said before. But anyways, today, we're going to talk about getting your home show ready. This should be a little bit shorter one. I got kind of excited about the pricing stuff. In my last podcast, I love pricing homes. It's something I feel like I've been good at for whatever reason. For the most part, since I started doing listings and such, I've always enjoyed the pricing is because it is not something where we can just pinpoint one little number. It gives you some variety and it takes effort. So I like that. But getting your house... Getting your house show ready, goodness, is super important because when people walk in, I've long said that now the first impression is online and it's your photos. So having this is going to apply to before you get your photo shoot, but when people are in the house, both times you want it to be show ready because that first impression is online, but when they walk in the house, it makes a big difference. So let's start right there. Well, let's back up even further. I've changed my mind. To them driving up. This is the curb appeal. So curb appeal is always very important. Now we have long winters and we have a lot of snow. So in the wintertime, what you can do is you can plow and you can make things look tidy. If you have a deck, if you have a front porch, anything like that, you should have the snow off of it. You should have the handrails dusted off. If you have vehicles sitting, they should be cleaned off of snow. They should be running or you should move them out. But keep it nice and tidy and having something when it's freshly plowed and nice flat surface, even if it does have hard packed snow on it, is wonderful and it looks great. So keep that in mind when you are going to sell. So that's kind of your curb appeal. In the summertime, keeping things mowed, I am like moving more and more towards just wanting like a wild front lawn and letting things go to dandelion and get nice and tall. The neighbors hate that. And so I do mow. But if you're selling your house, even if you feel that way, unless you've made it look really nice and look manicured in some way, you're probably going to have to mow. We can't have grass going to seed. You need to weed whack and edge up around, if you have a sidewalk or driveway or whatever it is in the house itself, make sure that that is complete. If you have flower beds and things like that, of course, that all ups your curb appeal, but making things tidy is the number one most important thing, and it is usually the cheapest to do. It just takes effort. Unless you have to pay someone to do it, then it costs money, of course, but less effort. That's a bonus. So then how they enter into the house is important. So I have been to some showings where we come in through the garage, let's say, and this is the negative side. And you come in and the garage is packed full of stuff. It's poorly lit. It's dark. The door didn't open right. It dragged and it felt funky. And then you get into the house, and I'm thinking of one in particular now. And we open the door from the garage, and it's kind of a mud room, and that's where they kept all their kitty litter, and it stunk like pets. And you're like, golly. And then we went through the house, and it had this bad taste from the very beginning. But then we got to like the top floor, and they had done a bunch of renovations, and they had this huge suite. I was going to say suite, but then it was suite, master suite. This awesome master suite area. And it looked really nice, and I saw a doorway off of there. And I remembered from outside, there were steps that went up to that doorway. And I thought, man, if I had come in that doorway, I don't know if they would have bought it, but it would have totally changed how we saw things. And they could have got to the garage, and I was like, garage is a garage. And you are correct, but first impressions are first impressions. And when you're walking through, it makes a difference. And the kitty litter thing, that should just be taken care of. If your house smells like pets, we'll get to this, but we need to get that pet smell out. It makes a huge difference. But if we could have walked up into this newly renovated area first and then came down and exited through the garage, and we would have said, garage is a garage. Yeah, it's whatever. It's a little bit older, but that living space was awesome. It would have been a totally, totally different feel than what we got there. So think about that, how you want people to enter, and we can guide that. So some people have different keys for different doors in their house. Maybe they added a doorknob, changed whatever. And so the keying gets different, and we could use that to our advantage. We could have signage set up, but we want them to come in the best way possible and come in, open the door, and it's the beautiful living space and all the lights are on. Let's get to lights. Leave all your lights on. If it's vacant, this is a little bit tougher. You're going to be relying on the agent, which when I go to show a house, I show up early and I turn all the lights on because I think it makes a difference. However, if I'm showing 3 houses in a row, they're following right behind me. So I go in and I say, hey, I'm going to, I kind of get a little bit ahead of them. I do like to stick with them, of course, and turn lights on as I go. I know some people that make people wait in the car while they get the lights on. Maybe I should do that. I don't know. I just kind of feel like, I don't know, maybe I should. But having the lights on, if you're living there and you're getting ready to go, some people are like, I don't want to spend the electricity. It's worth the electricity. You'll make it back. You'll make it back in the offer price on there. So have all the lights on when they walk in, because I've been in some, again, it was a nice house, this different house, or walked in and it was like a dungeon. And the reason is they had it was like a log house. They had a bunch of log, they had a bunch of wood. And with the lights on, it was cool. It was almost like we got to talk. It was like a restaurant you'd walk in a good way, where it just felt like really well styled, but like it was like coming from outside where it's kind of bright, you're kind of blinded. We came in and it was like pitch black is what it felt like. So I'm scrambling around. Again, this is one of those scenarios where they were on a tour with me. So I hit the light switches and it turns on. And we had to overcome that little bit of like dungeony feel and like, I don't know if this is our house. So if we can avoid that, having the lights on. So before the house itself is ready to go, we have 3 things to do. And I talked about this briefly in the last podcast. I thought I had forgot something, but no, I was right. So we have the depersonalization. We'll say, declutter and getting rid of things will be the first one. So this is getting as much out of the house of your personal items as possible. So you may have a great photo. I'm looking at one now of me and my wife, and our noses are touching and we're very lovingly looking into each other's eyes. However, if I was selling my house, I would not have that up. So we want people when they come in to imagine themselves living in this house. And that is the goal. So we want to take ourselves out of it and give them a blank slate. That does not mean vacant because you're not there, but it does not mean a completely empty house lacking and void of all furniture. It just means your stuff. So you want to declutter a lot of your stuff, declutter and depersonalize that of all of your things that you have in there. So if you have a bunch of stuff like magnets on the fridge that are showing your kids' artwork and stuff, again, living in your house is totally different than selling your house. I don't care if you have magnets on your fridge. I have magnets on my fridge. I like having magnets on my fridge. I like displaying my kids' artwork as well. A lot of things I like to do because I'm living there. If I was selling my house, I would take all of that stuff off, either throw it away. Your kids probably won't be happy with that. I have so many, my kids do a lot of crafts. And they give me stuff like every single day. A lot of times it's paper craft. So I have started using some of it, not all. Don't judge me. I've used some of it for Firestarter. And I have gotten caught a few times where I'm loading it into the stove. And my daughter's like, I made you that. I was like, hey, listen, you make me way too much. I think they've come to the understanding now. So I do try to involve them in that process now. But anyways, declutter that stuff. You got a bunch of stuff on the shelves. Get that off there. You have a toaster that you use every day that sits on your counter. Put the toaster away. If there's something beautiful, like I always bring up, a KitchenAid, it can look really nice. It's like, hey, it's in the corner. It's almost like a little art piece in of itself. Maybe we leave that, but we're really going to be, if you don't know, err on the side of putting things away. And you can put them in the cabinet. It's okay if those get crammed. Getting them off the property is a great idea, but if you don't have that option, putting them in your shed, or if you have some kind of storage, putting them in the garage, like we just talked about, putting them in closets, that's going to be your best bets because those doors can be closed. And when people open a closet door to see how deep it is and stuff, and most people don't even like to do that. I get so many comments like, I feel weird looking at these guys close like at a walk-in closet. It's like, I get it, but you do want to see what the walk-in closet looks like, So a lot of people don't even open the closet doors up to look inside to see what they are. So putting the stuff in there is a good option. So taking that stuff, again, this is a declutter and getting rid of stuff. Depersonalize is like taking your own personal photos down and things like that and making it a bit of a blank slate. It doesn't have to be neutral. A lot of people think like when they do new construction or if they're doing a flip that everything has to be like these days a neutral gray color. We're just going to talk colors. Like, no, you can make design choices that not everyone will love. That's okay. But we want to leave it where people can imagine themselves and they can morph the details into their own preferences, basically. And then the last thing is the deep clean, and this comes back to pet smells and stuff. If you can't deep clean, it will be worth the money to pay someone. You will get more on the offer. I say this all the time about a lot of things I know, but these things are they're just really important. So getting that stuff ready to go, the deep clean, the depersonalize, the decluttering, you are going to be show ready, having the lights on, having things looking tidy from the outside. Last thing I want to talk about is accessibility. If you don't allow people to come look at your house when they want to for the first time, it gets harder and harder to get them to come back. So I know this is uncomfortable, but these days things are selling pretty quick, usually within 2 weeks. And so if you could have a 2-week window where you keep the house spick and span and you keep your calendar as open as possible to be out of the house, and it don't have to be open, I guess, go doing stuff, especially if you have kids, dogs and stuff. I know this can be tough. But I'm just telling you, these are the things that are going to sell your house for the best. Because if you say no and they try to reschedule and you say no again, I've seen houses, again, I always have one in mind, just here recently, has been on the market forever. And I called the guy, I was like, hey, this looks like a nice house. Like, what's going on? The price doesn't seem bad. He's like, no, all those things are true. The guy's had a few family emergencies. We've had to, put it on a hold, don't show status. And then when he does come back, he doesn't agree to most of the showings, and buyers just kind of give up. You think, oh, if they liked my house enough, they'd come look at it. It's like, why you want to put roadblocks? It's like, that may be true if someone just really, really loves your house. But again, we want as many eyes on this sucker as possible. So when we talk about accessibility, make sure that you are ready to go. And we're going to talk about this Anytime iList. We're going to have this timeline together. And we want access to be easy. We use lock boxes so agents can get keys very easily. They're not having to pick up keys for my office, things like that. There's a bunch of little things that we do. We make this as easy as possible for people to get in. And again, you may think, well, if they like the house as a big purchase, why wouldn't they just see the thing? You're not the only option, and you may be the best option for these buyers. But at a certain point, they're just like, this guy doesn't even want to sell this thing. And they just move on, or they have found another house that was adequate for them in the time they were trying to schedule yours. So you don't want to keep people away. It just, for whatever reason, I've noticed that, like trying to reschedule with buyers, getting a second reschedule is usually not a problem. The third, it starts to fall off where they just kind of stop caring, even if it's the house they really like, which is just funny. So anyways, those are the basics to getting your home show ready. As usual, if you would like assistance in selling or buying your home, I'm, of course, Blake with the Summit Realty Group, and I work in the Fairbanks Borough in Alaska, of course, and I am happy to help you. You can reach me at 907-651-8356, or you can call or text that, or you can email me at blake@akblake.com. You can go to my website, akblake.com, look at houses there, whatever you want to do. I'm happy to help. So anyways, have a great one, and I will see you on the next one, hopefully with a guest. I'm pretty sure I got one coming up. You're going to like this one, actually. I remember who it was now. All right. See you next time. Bye.